50 bucks. 50 bucks to spend on any attention expanding books that you like. And to get that, go to magneticmemory.com/span. There's a link down below. It's a contest that I'm running. It's by a third party, so I don't decide who the winners are or anything like that, and it's all handled. So grab that, because you are going to want to be one of the first registered people to get that. And I'm really going hard right now about this attention span issue. By the way, this is Anthony Metivier from magneticmemorymethod.com. Thanks for being here. If you're hopping on the live, hit the like button. Let me know where you are in the world. If you're watching the replay, hit the like button anyway. Post something down in the comments below, and then go to magneticmemorymethod.com/span, and the second video on that page will give you the contest details and also 11 recommended books on memory techniques that you could purchase with your $50 gift certificate if you win. Now, the contest is being decided on the 15th, again, December 15th, by an independent group of people. So it's really cool. I saw it on another YouTube channel and really excited by how they do that. And there's just a few little things that you gotta do that help support the spreading of this very, very important message about memory techniques and this beautiful thousands of years old tradition of learning and remembering and recalling anything that you want super fast, and being able to just exercise your brain at the same time, preserve your brain. It's a very simple skill, one that will absolutely amaze you and astonish you as you get into it and start using it. So let me know where you are in the world and what you're doing and what you're thinking, and are you doing memory practice? Because when it comes to attention span, one of the best things that you can do in order to stop this goldfish mentality is memory practice, of course. But before we get to memory practice, one of the reasons why I really want to promote this particular message on the magneticmemorymethod.com/span page, SPAN, is that there's a real vicious rumor going around that your attention span is shorter than the attention span of a goldfish. There's actually a history to where that rumor comes from. The rumor is wrong. It's not even realistic or part of reality or anything that anyone should take seriously for even a second. So check that out, educate yourself about the problem, read about the history. There's a link to the history of this metaphor, and get yourself on board with a better metaphorical frame for your brain, for your education, for your attention span. Think of the symbol that we have in the memory tradition, which is the elephant. The elephant. Now, what do we have there? Well, we have a creature, a metaphor of a creature and the memory that lasts for days and days and days, trekking through difficult terrain, knowing where to go, knowing how to get there, being able to concentrate and focus on the dialogue of footsteps. That is a metaphor worth thinking about, and every person either already has that and it's just laying dormant and they're not using it, or every person can have it and develop it. Travis is here from the deserts of Arizona. Hey, we were just talking about the desert, or I was thinking, had a picture of the desert in my mind with the elephants. So great to meet you here. And you sent that wonderful history link that I was just mentioning that is now on magneticmemorymethod.com/span. And then, of course, to encourage you to actively get your memory span working, or your attention span working for you, you are invited to enter a contest there. So watch the second video on that page for all about that. Watch the first one as well, it's beautiful. So yeah, we got to choose better metaphors. I think the elephant metaphor is way better, much more powerful, much more interesting. And oh, Michael's here, hailing from Utah this time. Oh well, Michael, did you end up getting the memory code? I sent it about a week ago, and should be there by now. If you're watching this, Michael won a copy of the memory code on a previous contest, and actually that's part of the origin of this new contest over at magneticmemorymethod.com/span. The link is down below, you can just click it. And the second video there, but it was so difficult getting him his his prize that I thought I want to do more contests, but maybe a gift certificate. People can buy their own books. On that video of 11 memory improvement books that I recommend, there are some suggestions about which books you might want to choose, and I hope that you choose one of them, and the memory code would be a very, very good choice indeed. But there are others. Some I don't even think you'll be able to find because they're pretty obscure and rare, but you never know. You might be able to. Michael says, I did get it, thanks so much. I've actually gone through a bit of it and personally recommended it to 2 of my university professors in the last week. Oh, well, Lynn will be delighted to hear that. And please do keep recommending it. Let's get it on university syllabi and lectured from and shared from, because the memory code is probably the most important memory improvement book that's been added to the canon in a very long time, in terms of not only giving you really amazing techniques that you can try, but also expanding and deepening the history. And we just don't get enough of that. And what we do have is really great, and some of that is listed in the form of a Tony Buzan book, which is number 2 on that list, and the Memory Palace of Matteo Ricci, of course, which is must read. You know, and I just chose 11, but obviously I could make many versions of that video and add on more. But if you want to be in this contest, entered for one of 3 $50 gift certificates, go to magneticmemorymethod.com/span. Make sure you watch that second video for the contest details. Again, third party is handling it, so the winner will be announced, and you'll get that coupon in whenever you win in December, and that will be great because you'll be able to get the books on time for Christmas. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, if you're hopping on and you haven't said hello yet, let me know where you are in the world. And great to have you here. Listen, the thing is, if we're going to choose metaphors for our education, then let's pick a better one than goldfish. What a disempowering metaphor. It's just not good. So I like elephant. I think elephant is really, really profound. And when we think about metaphors for the human brain, even for the human body, we've had different ones throughout history. Like, it has been compared previous to the computer to the city, and actually the city metaphor is coming back in the terms of the brain as a collection of neighborhoods and cities, and the neural networks and neural pathways as having that kind of relationship, which I think is powerful as well. So the metaphor doesn't have to be an animal metaphor like goldfish versus elephant, but something that's empowering. Think about your attention span as something that empowers you, makes you feel good, and is true, that is closer to the truth, because the goldfish metaphor just doesn't cut it. So, but the question is then, how do we exercise our attention span and do it in ways that are interesting and fun? And I got a couple of suggestions for you. One of which is the obvious: create memory palaces, use memory palaces, review what you put in memory palaces, and then explain to others. That's the cure, right? C-U-R-E. Create, use, review, and explain. Very, very powerful. And that will increase your attention span. Just sitting down with a deck of cards and practicing memorizing this will increase your attention span. Sitting down with a bunch of vocabulary will increase your attention span. And you don't have to spend lots of time. Just one word at a time. Looking at the word, thinking about it, going into your memory, matching it with a memory palace, doing some magnetic imagery there. Woo! Really great. Really great. And it creates focus and it creates energy because it's a lot of fun. And then you do your review and you explain. You can't lose. You can't lose. This will increase your attention span. But there are other ways. So there's meditation, for example. And meditation is really the practice of attention. Attention on what? Attention on how you can't pay attention in many ways. It is the practice of observing what the mind is doing, how it's flitting from this to that, and bringing it back to the breath, or bringing it back to awareness, or bringing it back to that thing in you that is in all people, that sort of sensation of oneness. You know, we all come from the dying of stars, and we're all connected somehow, right? And there's behind the brain, there's this oneness, and you can focus on that. And one of the ways to do that is a great attention span extending exercise that I love a great deal, is alternate nostril breathing, or alternating nostril breathing. And you can do it with a finger closing off one nostril if your attention span is so bad that you can't hold on to the thought of what you're doing for a long time. But you want to move towards doing alternate nostril breathing without manipulating your nose. So you just would think that the air is coming up in the left nostril and out the right nostril, and in the right nostril and then out the left nostril. This is very powerful, and you can then develop from there alternatives to that exercise with certain counts. So you can have, say for example, inhaling in to the count of 4 and then holding your breath to the count of 16 is often recommended. It's a bit long, but you can work up to it. And then exhaling through the right for 8 seconds, and then in the right for 4 seconds, holding again for 16, and then out for 8 through the left, and just rotate that. Do that a couple of times. You'll find that your attention span grows. It grows very much. Now, fish probably don't do that. Goldfish, maybe elephants do, but I don't know about goldfish. Probably not. And your attention span will really, really deepen. And I'm quite confident that your experience of reality will soften and you'll feel more in flow. And flow is a much desired and cherished way of being, and you can get it. You can get it, and it's really cool. So practice that. And there are variations, many, many variations. You can make up your own variations. So if you were going to do breath holding on an inhale, you can reverse the process and do breath holding on an exhale. So you are not, you're just letting your lungs be empty for a while. I'd maybe check a doctor before you go and do that stuff, just to be sure. Make sure that it's copacetic with your current physical status quo. But very, very good, very powerful for me. Has really helped my focus and concentration, and more so over the years, because it is absolutely wonderfully empowering for focus and concentration, precisely because you're focusing and concentrating on things in your mind related to your body, and your body and mind focus and concentration and attention span really weave together in relation to the external environment. And when you do this practice just in everyday life, when you're walking around or sitting on the bus with noise and distraction around, really, really cool what it does for your brain and your focus and your attention span. Now, another exercise that I've always really loved is to listen to music and focus in on just one instrument. Just see how long you can stick with just the bass. Just the bass, or just the drums, or just the guitar. You can also focus just on the voice, but there's a lot of breaks between the voice. But if you really focus in on that one instrument, you'll be able to really hold your attention span and develop the length of the attention span. What you can do is also just sit or lie down and listen to an entire album. See how far you can get through that album with just one instrument that you're paying attention to. You can take notes on the process as well if you want to be more active rather than passive. And another thing that's kind of powerful along these lines is, let's say you started with bass, then you could focus on bass for the first song, then switch to drums for the second song, then switch to guitar for the third song, then switch to vocals for the fourth song, or whatever other instrument might be in there, and then rotate again. And you're managing in your mind where you are in your own sequence, as you're managing in your mind your focus on drilling in on hearing this one instrument. So that's an exercise I've done a lot, and it's been really, really powerful. If you're hopping on and you haven't said hello yet, let me know where you are. If it's the replay, hit us up with a comment below, and try these things. Let me know how they work for you, and generally what you think about your attention span and this metaphor of the goldfish, because I think this is a pretty nasty metaphor that needs to be abolished as quickly as possible. And if you want to get on this contest, then make sure to watch the second video over at magneticmemorymethod.com/span, S-P-A-N, and extend your attention span. Really super important. All right, so really another thing that you can do, and this is really good for people who are low on the visual threshold, as I am, is to read a novel and think about the character. Think about the character in whichever way you can. It doesn't have to be visual, but just do a little extra work in envisioning what's going on and what the author says. The locations, the clothing, the color of the eyes, the movement of the mouth when characters speak, what kind of gestures they might make. Really dive in there. Take time. Like, you don't have to read books fast. You don't have to read for excitement or so forth. You can read for attention span development exercise. And then think about what's really being said there. Now, I did degrees in English literature, so it's kind of normal for me to sit and think about what's really being said there and read between the lines and look at the philology and look at the semantics and look at the, you know, the different riddles and puzzles and semiotics and architectonic tautology that goes on in all of these wonderful sentences and so forth, and you can really get deep into what's going on in a text. But you don't even have to go that deep in order to just pause a little bit. Use it as an attention span expanding exercise by basically expanding what is there. Expanding what is there, spending more time with it, and enriching yourself by paying attention to your attention span. Instead of, oh, well, I can't pay attention anymore because something didn't happen in the last 6 seconds, then what you can do is actually notice that. Notice that feeling that comes up. Why did it come up? And what is your response to it? And then you can deal with that response differently. Instead of snap judgments and then starting to tell yourself a story about your attention span, you can deal with it differently. Carolyn's here, says, hello from Virginia. Meditation and breathing techniques are very helpful. I'm glad you find so. Thanks for being here and thanks for letting us know. Always good to see you. Yep, it's true. And you know, all these breathing exercises you can do while you're reading. You can do while you're listening to music. You can do while you're listening to a lecture, an audio lecture, or even watching a lecture. They're really powerful. They'll embed you deeper in the room, and they won't distract you from what's going on. In fact, they'll wedge you and weld you towards it at a much deeper level, and I really find it super profound, super profound. It's absolutely essential. Russell's here. He says, I honor you for your commitment to your craft and reaching out to people. I don't mind me making a request. I would certainly appreciate your help. Oh, if you don't mind. Well, Russell, what's your request? And let's shoot. That's what we're here for. But let me take a little bit of a friendly, virtuous commercial break and send you over to magneticmemorymethod.com/span, which has got a little special contest going on right now. Watch the second video. It's about the 11 top memory improvement books that I recommend, and you can win a $50 gift certificate to Amazon. This is handled by a third party, so the winners will be announced December 15th. And this is incredible what you can choose if you choose to follow my recommendations in this video of the 11 memory improvement books. So Russell says, do you have a system for gradually learning, memorizing at a faster and faster pace? I have a lot of things to memorize, both words and numbers, however not moving fast enough. Well, I don't really deal in systems. I deal in the magnetic memory method that teaches you to create your own systems. But if you're in the masterclass, there is, in the part of the masterclass called the master plan, a training that talks about how to use certain audio elements to train speed. And so yes, you can do that. And if you're not in the masterclass, and you are, so you can find that there. And this would be something to bring up on the upcoming implementation bootcamp, and we can talk more about that and come up with strategies. But in general, if you're not going fast enough, one of the things to do to build your speed is practice with a practice that is speed oriented. So for example, cards. So to give you a more immediate answer, go to cards. Cards are related to numbers, especially if you're using the magnetic memory method approach. You're always going to be doing numbers and cards at the same time at some level. And so that can be a way. You don't have to have cards, playing cards. You can have whatever it is that you want to practice on. You develop speed by practicing speed. It's pretty simple. But I don't really give anybody systems, because the magnetic memory method is about teaching you to create your own systems. And that's how every mnemonist who succeeds, every person who uses memory techniques succeeds, works. There's no getting around that. People go around wanting to buy a system, and you can't. You can follow very closely. Russell says, I'll go there, thank you. Oh, thank you, Russell. And so one of the best things that you can do and make use of the masterclass is show me what you're doing, and let's get it up on the screen. There's an FAQ section there for this purpose, and let's refine it. Let's refine what it is that you're doing to make your own systems and your practice. But yeah, it's about creating your own system and your own practice and refining your practice so that you're actually showing up to it excited. It's creating energy, it's creating the results that you're looking for, it's creating insights into the memory techniques themselves as they mesh and meld with your brain. And all of this will create better attention span for you. Much, much better attention span. And if you really want the ultimate attention span, then what you need to be doing is using what you've learned and using it in different ways. So there's the use of what you've learned, like when you're learning a language, actually speaking the words and phrases that you've learned, making sure you're hearing them, making sure you're using all the modalities of your brain, all the big five of language learning. And then there's the use for actually deepening your knowledge by teaching. So you want to be explaining to other people, and that's where you'll get to expert levels. I use the word expert a bit loosely and lightly, but nonetheless there is expertise, and expertise is achieved not merely through practice but through teaching. So when you think of all the great traditions, sports for example, the great athletes, they're not just consumers of training, but they themselves train. They're not just coached, but they themselves coach. They're not just passive learners and applicators or implementers. They're teachers. You've got to be. You're not really learning until that you have explained to someone else. So that's why the CURE metaphor is so good, or the CURE acronym. Create memory palaces is the C, use them is the U, recall rehearsal is the R, and explain is the E. That's the magic code. It's really great. It's powerful, and you'll enjoy it a lot. So that's our most powerful thing to do, is to be passing it on after we've gained it. That's the path to magic, and that is exactly how you're going to find your mastery. So with all that said, head on over to magneticmemorymethod.com/span, watch that second video, and get yourself hooked up for the contest. The decision will be out December 15th, and I wish all the best of luck to the winners. And until we speak again, keep yourself magnetic. Bye-bye.